What's good, everybody, and welcome back to video number 2, where we take a look at all of the films nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and we emulate their looks in DaVinci Resolve. If you guys are new to this channel, my name is Sydney Baker Green. I'm an international cinematographer and colorist, and today we are going to be taking a look at this scene from Ford versus Ferrari. And as a challenge, we're going to take a scene with a similar color palette, but shot instead of golden hour like Ford versus Ferrari, at high noon. Now this tutorial will run a little bit longer than my normal tutorial style, but I urge you guys, please stay till the end because the look does not come together until the very end. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And by the way, if you always feel like you need a nap and you like this shirt, be sure to check out my merch store. A link is in the description down below. Roll intro. Alright guys, here we are in DaVinci Resolve. If you guys would like to download the clip so that you guys can follow along, a link is in the description down below for your convenience. We're going to start off by going from our log profile into Rec 709. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to add 3 nodes. 1, 2, and a total of 3. Now from here, we're going to add a color space transform in node 1. That's going to be in Resolve Effects. And it's going to be color space transform, resolve color effects, color space transform right there. In our camera raw settings, since this was shot in red code raw, we're going to go into linear. Now, if you guys aren't shooting in raw, if you're just shooting in ProRes or whatever, H.264, whatever it is, these things stay the same. Your inputs are just going to be whatever you recorded in camera. I can go and change these in post. So we're going to go in here now, and in our color space transform, we're going to select our input values. So this is going to be in red wide gamut RGB, and this is going to be in linear. And from there, we're going to go into Arri Alexa and Arri Log C. Now in node 3, we're going to add another color space transform. And from there, we are going to go from Arri Alexa, Arri Log C, into Rec 709, and again into Rec 709 as both our output color space, not linear, Rec 709, my bad. And this is as our output color space and our output gamma. In tone mapping, we're going to select luminance mapping. Luminance mapping simply makes sure that when we're making an adjustment with respect to an exposure, that crazy things don't happen. For example, if I turned it off, look at what happens when I go and try to grade in node 3. You see how that's not really looking too good? Except when I tick on luminance, let's turn this off. There you go. That's what happens when we don't have luminance mapping on. Crazy things. So we're going to want to keep that on for the sake of the tutorial. We're going to go here and we're going to reset that. So now in node 2, we're going to do all of our basic corrections. These are going to be our contrast corrections, adding in a little bit of saturation, and then also adding in a little bit of mid-tone detail to combat this lens flare we can see right here. So we're going to do that by selecting our black point, which is right around here. That's what looks good to my eye. I should say we're just grading to personal preference here. And I'm just trying to closely emulate Ford versus Ferrari here, essentially. And I know that on the skin side, facing away from the sun, it was a little bit darker, but the skin was still at a pleasing exposure level. And so that's what I'm really looking at when I'm going through this process, is what's keeping the skin pleasing. So I'm gonna drop down my shadows to add contrast here. And then I'm gonna boost my highlights here as well to add in this S-curve right around here. And I think that looks pretty nice. From there, we're going to go into our color wheels and we're going to add in some saturation. I think around here looks good, around 63. And then we're going to add in some mid-tone detail, which is going to take away some of the sharpness of that saturation. But right around here is good. Now let's go ahead and just look what happened. That's what we're doing. All we're doing is grading on top of the Arri Log C image. If we take all those corrections away, that's what Arri Log C looks like. We have just added in those corrections, and because we've baked in Rec 709 and node 3, when we look, all of our saturation corrections and everything that's happened, all of it is legal. And all the Rec 709 colors are going to be baked in from this node on. So we are safe to grade as we want and this to be broadcast safe. And that is my pro tip for the day. Let's go back to the waveform. Now, looking at our image, everything's looking pretty good. I just want to go ahead and add in another serial. Here now what we're going to do is we're going to work on our skin tones. Now, so like when we're looking at the skin tones, the reason why we want to correct them is one, to get them to the warmish neutral that was in Ford versus Ferrari, but also to get rid of this green. And you can't see it now, but you'll see it once we correct it. So let's go here into our vector scope, which is when we're using color information, and into our qualification tab. We're going to select the selection range and we're going to use the picker. And we're just going to select the midtones of his skin. That's what I clicked on right here. Now we're going to go ahead, and what I want to do is I want to take away the soft and I want to expand the width to start including his hair a little bit. And then I also want to include his skin down here. So right around here, I want that to be nice and clean. We're going to go ahead and add in some clean whites too as well. So about right there, not clean whites, some denoise, and then some clean blacks. I misspoke. Now when we're looking at our information on our vector scope, you can see what I'm talking about. It's pushing towards the greens and it's not quite neutral where we want it. So we're going to use a power window just to make sure we're isolating that information. And just in his skin tone, selecting those, we're going to offset and we're going to push in that orange neutral we want. Now look, do you see how luscious that hair looks? And I use the word luscious because look at the warmth in that. Look at the warmth we've brought into the skin tones, and now look at this image. Before, after, we've really corrected a lot of what was going on there. And this is a beautiful image. Even if you just want to leave here and not emulate Ford versus Ferrari, a beautiful image to go with. But we're going to go a little bit further now, and we're going to start creating the look, and that's going to be done in these next few nodes. So we add a node here, creating node 5. We're going to add a layer, and then we're going to add another corrector, and we're going to add another input. Now, let's connect everything. This is going to be connected to that layer mixer, and then we're going to connect the output to the input of node 4, and then the alpha output from node 4 to node 7. That way we have our green screen, which is the skin. So let's go ahead and break this look down into the 3 main parts there are. So the first thing we're going to start with is going to be the sky. So we're going to qualify that out. We're going to add in all this that's going on here. We're not going to do the skin, so we're just going to manually adjust this. Remove this over right about there. Everything else is looking pretty good. We're just going to add the denoise up to 100, and I want to add in some clean whites to really make sure we're getting everything we possibly can, because I want to correct the white balance issue we had in these areas and get them popping with a little bit of warmth. All the way up to 100. Now we're going to neutralize the sky. See, we have this blue. We need it to look like golden hour. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to push in a nice warm tone to neutralize that sky out. And right about here is looking pretty good. So now you can see here we have the warmth in the houses over here. These trees are looking a little bit warmer. It's looking a lot more like the golden hour that we wanted. So now in node 5, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to work on this jacket. Now, we're going to approach this the same way we do our teal and orange grade, except it's just going to be isolated to the jacket, and we're really going to crush those blacks. So we add in that blue, right, into our shadows. Then we go ahead and add in that teal. On the contrary, though, we have these nice warm highlights right here that are in his jacket. We're going to go ahead and push fully some oranges into those highlights. And then to get this look to come together, we're going to go into swatch number 1 and adjust our low and high range. So adjusting our low and high range, we're going to bring this all the way down. You see we got that teal going in there. And then we're going to bring up the high range just a bit until those highlights are in there as well. And now, to really get that dark blue that was in Ford versus Ferrari, we're going to crush those midtones. Just a smidge. Right about there. And that right there is going to give us that nice dark blue we saw in Ford versus Ferrari. So now we're halfway through the tutorial, but I know a lot of what we just did and all of this layer stuff can be confusing. Now would be a great time for me to tell you guys about our sponsor, myself. My DaVinci Resolve color grading course is designed to help you guys not only learn the basics of DaVinci Resolve and everything we just did, but also help you add a premium cinematic color finish to all of your films. Once you enroll in the course, you dive in right away with instant access. You get me as your colorist mentor, and I can guarantee you, in about 2 weeks, you will see results. You can enroll in my DaVinci Resolve color grading course up top in the card in the top right, or in the link in the description down below. So go ahead and continuing on with this grade, we're now going to start breaking this down into parts. So we're almost done with this grade, we just need to add a few more finishing touches. We need to balance this side of the sky and bring it to neutral as well. We need to add in a warm looking sunset to mimic that golden hour. And then we just need to make sure that the hair is in the right place for that golden hour look, and we can add the finishing node. So let's go ahead in node 1. And let's start with our sunset correction. So let's go into our power window right here, and we're going to use a gradient. We're going to make it come all the way from this way. So we're just going to adjust it, and I want to put it right here, like it's the sun, because our sun is right here. And we are going to drag that light in. From here, we are going to push in a really orangey orange. See how it's starting to mimic that warm light coming through, but we also need to make it brighter, like the sun's actually coming from that area, which is what we're gonna do right there. So you can see here now, it looks like we have the sun that's right around here, and it's bringing in that warm tone. We're also going to add in some warmth into our highlights, into our midtones, the same amount, and into our shadows. And then as usual, we will adjust our low and high range accordingly to get the look we want in swatch 1. So we're gonna up the low range to about right here. And the high range, since it's the sun, is gonna come all the way up. And now you can see we have that orange flare that we saw there in Ford versus Ferrari on the left side. Now we're gonna continue on with the next part of this look, which is we're gonna add in and balance the sky right here. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna use a gradient on the left side. We're gonna tilt. We're gonna drag down. We're just gonna move it. We're gonna turn it a little bit this way. We're gonna move it to this corner, just a little bit right there. And now we're gonna boost the exposure up. See how we're doing that to balance out that part of that side of the sky. We're gonna boost that exposure up, and we're gonna add in some warmth to really neutralize what was going on in that sky. And we can see here that so far, everything is looking really, really nice. This is what we just did with this correction before, after, even added a little bit of highlight on his face. That is perfectly fine. Now everything is looking pretty good in general with this look, but we need to make sure his hair is really mimicking that nice orange that we saw. So we're gonna add another node here too. We're gonna qualify his hair. And yes, we are just getting the very, very fringes of his hair. We're gonna take away the soft, and we're just gonna make sure his hair is selected. So part of the way we're gonna do that too is just by making sure the highlights are in the right area and really adjusting this until we get the right tone for his hair. So right about there, we want none of his skin, just the very high highs of this clean blacks. Make sure we qualify just that hair. Just that hair is what we're going for. Those outer fringes. And we're gonna push in a nice warm tone right there. Just so now we can see the fringes of his hair. They really have that nice warm highlight to them. We can see what we did here, just getting in that golden hour highlight. Now we're gonna add in the secret sauce to this entire grade, because everything looks nice, but the colors are not as pinpoint as they were in Ford versus Ferrari. Why? Because we're not emulating film. So let's go ahead and give ourselves some more room over here, because we're going to add in film convert nitrate. What this is going to do is this is going to allow us to add in our film look to what's going on in Film Convert. So we're gonna go ahead here, we're gonna select our camera profile, which we know it was shot in red on an Epic weapon and in red gamma 3. This would actually be whatever you shot in though. These are not going to be my values unless you shot in the exact same thing. We're gonna apply. Now do you see what's happened here? Look at the red here. The nice orangey orange that's happening in the shadow from the flare that we have, that looks so nice already. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take down some of the grain that's happening right here because we don't want it too strong. We want more of that modern grain look that we had in Ford versus Ferrari. And the next thing we're gonna do, I'm just gonna go into my curves over here, not my grain curve, into my wheels on this side. And I just wanna take down the highlights just a bit because they're a little strong right now. Now you can see we brought back some of that dynamic range over here, which is great. And everything is looking really nice. We just need to adjust the amount of contrast from the film, and we need to adjust maybe some of the highlights to bring them to that nice warm neutral we found in Ford versus Ferrari. And so the way we're gonna do that is in our film response. First thing we're gonna do, let's go ahead and take away some of that contrast right there because it was a little bit much. And now we're just gonna bring it right back down to baseline, right about there. That is looking good so far. We just want to take away some of that contrast so it wasn't so intense. And then we're going to go into our color wheels in the Cineon form, and we're going to just add in a little bit of blue into the midtones, and we're gonna add in a nice warm orange color into the highlights. And I think this is a great emulation to that scene that we had in Ford versus Ferrari. Without the original film stock that they had, we have those nice blues, that dark blue, black in the shirt. We have the warm hair, we have the neutral skin, we have the golden hour mimic that we created. And to be honest, from what we started with, this scene in high noon, and to be able to bring it here seems really cool. And then we see that overall we have that nice warm tone with just that hint of blue in the dark side, which is pretty awesome. That is my take on the Ford versus Ferrari look. I just want to make a quick statement at the end of this video. I received a comment on my Joker look which said, all of the YouTubers are doing this. Why are you guys doing this? You're unoriginal. And then something to the effect of the comment where I talk about my skills as a colorist, being an international colorist, saying that I claim to be the best. One, I never claimed to be the best. Two, my portfolio, all of my work definitely speaks for itself, and the people on YouTube are interested in how we create these looks. So if there's one person out there who's tired of colorists posting that, no one made you guys click on these videos. But let the people who want to learn, because there's room for everybody on this platform, and there's tons of content that we can consume on this platform. Again, no one is making you click on the video. Also, on a quicker note, if you want me as your colorist mentor and you like the way that I teach and want to learn all of the skills and knowledge I have, be sure to check out my DaVinci Resolve color grading course and enroll now. There's been so much positive feedback from all the people talking about it, and these videos I make on my channel are really designed for that group of students. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those post notifications if you already have not. Follow me on my social media. The links are in the description down below, as well as the YouTube fam. Their links are also in the description down below. Remember, if you are ever feeling uninspired, uncreative, or just want to give up on life, every day airplanes take off against the wind. Live, love, laugh, stay inspired, and as always, stay fabulous. My name is Sydney, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.